Welcome to the Life of the Sagehen webinar series. I hope you all are excited to be here, and I'm sure me and all the panelists are super excited to be sharing our Pitzer experience with you all. Just for a quick introduction of myself, my name is Anya. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a senior here at Pitzer, and I'll be moderating this session. I'm also an admissions fellow, so I work in the admissions office. I'm a mathematical economics major and I'm originally from Princeton, New Jersey. Cool. If the panelists want to go ahead and start with introductions, we can look towards Ella and she can start us off today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ella. I use she, her pronouns. I am a senior. I'm a double major in economics and political studies. I'm from the Bay Area, and I'm currently student body president and an RA. I'm going to
Cool.
popcorn to, oh, can I popcorn?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to popcorn to Julian.
Hey everyone, my name is Julian, he, him pronouns. I'm a senior as well. I'm a combined human biology and economics major here at Pitzer College. I'm from Los Angeles, California, specifically Echo Park, if we have a couple Angelinos here. And as for just things that I'm involved with on campus, I'm also an RA or resident assistant, and I'm also our lead shift coordinator at our Gold Student Center, which is our gym essentially. So I kind of help manage our employees there. And I'm gonna go ahead and popcorn to Stella.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stella. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior here at Pitzer as well, and I actually am majoring off campus at CMC as an environment, economics, and politics major. On campus, I started and I'm the president of the Pitzer Eco Reps, and I also sit on the Student Senate. And I'm going to popcorn it to Clay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clay, and I use he, him pronouns, and also a senior at Pitzer. And my major, I'm cross-campus majoring at Harvey Mudd, majoring in computer science and mathematics. And my major campus role here at Pitzer is that I'm a math tutor, and I'm also a natural science teaching assistant at the Department of Natural Science of Scripps and Pitzer College. I'll popcorn to Nick. One more thing. I come from Beijing, China. So I'm representative of the international students, I'll say.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick. My pronouns are he/him. I'm from Northern Virginia, specifically Arlington. I'm a first year. I don't quite know my major. I plan on doing political science. Some things I do around campus are I'm in Student Senate as the first year class representative, and I'm also on the Ultimate Frisbee team. I'll popcorn to Shanta. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Chantel Ramirez. I'm a junior here at Pitzer. I'm studying public policy at Claremont McKenna and minoring in economics. On campus, I'm part of Student Senate, so I'm part of Faculty Executive Committee, and I'm the junior representative. And I'm also an education access intern at the Community Engagement Center. And I also work at the Dean of Faculty office.
Awesome. Thank you all for your introductions. I'm sure it was great to learn more about you guys for the attendees. I think it's time to go ahead and start with our first question, and hopefully this will kind of paint a picture of what Pitzer is like. But my first question for you all is, what does a typical weekday look like for a Pitzer student? If someone wants to go ahead and get started on answering that.
I can start. I design my schedule this semester so I don't have any classes until 11 a.m., which I really like because I'm a night owl, so I like to stay up late and do my homework late just because there's no distractions at night. So I usually wake up at 10:30. I don't like to have breakfast before. Usually I have some snacky thing before I go to class. And then I go to class, I go to lunch. I usually go to McConnell Dining Hall, which is like really good for context. Like if you visit other colleges and then you come visit Pitzer, like Pitzer's food just way better. Like not like a dining hall, like actually good food, which is really nice. And then usually I like to hang out. Maybe I'll go to the gym. Maybe I'll like hang out on the mounds, which is just like a grassy area in the middle of Pitzer. It's really beautiful. Nice trees, a nice view of gardens. There's a fountain. And then I'll go to my next class. And then I'll either, if I haven't gone to the gym yet, I'll go to the gym or I'll go to Ultimate Frisbee. And then I'll have dinner at some point and then do homework until I go to bed.
Cool, thanks. That was super thorough. Thanks for sharing that with us all. Does anyone else want to offer a day in their life? Or we can move on. Oh, Ella, you can go ahead.
I would say that a lot of my time is spent either on my computer, doing readings, or in meetings. And if I'm not doing one of those three things, I'm eating or I'm trying to sit in the sun or outside. The door to my dorm opens right to outside. So I try to spend a lot of time when possible doing my readings out there because classes do not take up too much time of my week. And so I do have a lot of time to do my work that's been assigned. So I'm usually in the dorm as an RA, hanging out with my residents and also my cat.
Cool. Thank you for that. And I think this is a nice transition kind of into talking a little bit about our community. If anyone wants to start off by talking a little bit about how community bonding exists here at Pitzer and across the 5Cs to kind of learn more about the social culture of these colleges.
I can go ahead and start. I think one of the main things I want to highlight is the affinity groups here at Pitzer. I'm honestly not too familiar with how other schools have their affinity group set up or just kind of like the presence or emphasis on them. But, and I don't know the number here. I don't work in admissions, unfortunately, but I know we have a lot of affinity groups for a whole bunch of different cultures and identities. I myself have been a part of our Latinx student union. For my whole 4 years here, I served as co-president last year. And just being there freshman year, kind of just as an attendee, it like gave me a pretty automatic home away from home type of vibe. Coming here to a predominantly white institution, you kind of find people that you share similar backgrounds with, similar traditions, and it's just an easy way to meet people that you already know. You can kind of be a little bit more comfortable with, and like the ice is already broken on one end of the spectrum. I'm sure other people got other ways, but I just wanted to highlight the affinity groups here.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. I believe there are 11 plus affinity groups here on Pitzer's campus, which is a really exciting opportunity. Thank you for that answer, Julian. Does anyone else want to pitch in, maybe on the social scene or community bonding here at the 5Cs?
I can pitch in. I'll kind of follow up with what Julian said. Our affinity groups are a huge thing here at Pitzer. I myself am a first gen student, so I have taken a large camaraderie with the first gen club. I feel that despite our different backgrounds, like whether you're Latino, you're Black, you're white, Asian, etc., a lot of us can unite off of this first gen identity. And so we're all very close to one another. And there are these familiar faces that you can go to for peace and comfort on campus, which is so nice, especially when you feel a bit isolated at times. But overall, I would say the general culture with Pitzer students as a whole is that we're extremely welcoming. I feel that when you compare ourselves to the other 5Cs, I know that as soon as I step foot on the Pitzer campus, I feel so at home and so comfortable. I feel like I can be fully myself because the students are so welcoming and kind to one another. And I don't feel that there's this sense of competition or trying to outdo one another like some of the other campuses.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for that. And I think this is another great segue into talking a little bit about what classes are like here. So I'm curious to ask all of you, how do students change, choose, or design their interdisciplinary majors or their interdisciplinary learning experiences? Especially if you are someone who has maybe like majored off campus or has combined or something like that.
Yeah, I'm happy to start with that. So I'm majoring at CMC, and the way that you're able to get approved to major at another college is if Pitzer doesn't offer it doesn't offer the major that you want to pursue. So there's a ton of different environmental tracks you can take when you're an environmental analysis major at Pitzer, but you can't combine economics and politics. And luckily CMC does have that major, which is why I chose it. And you just have to get it approved with faculty members at both of the colleges. And I saw someone ask if it shows up on your transcript or your diploma, and it does not.
Cool. Thank you, Stella.
I'll say, just to add on really quickly for the combined major that I'm doing, just from like talking with my friends that attend other universities or colleges, it seems like somewhat of a maybe like not Pitzer only thing, but just a kind of a niche opportunity. And I know we, like Ella mentioned, we also have double majors, which is probably like a more common thing around other schools. A combined major allows you to find like an intersection between two studies, and it also kind of lets you take a little bit less classes than you would in a double if maybe you don't have the time or the commitment for both of them. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there in case somebody heard me say combined and they were wondering what that might look like.
Yeah, thank you. Clay, do you have any input on off-campus majors?
Yeah, sure. I'll answer like two perspectives. Well, one for choosing and designing your own major. You'll have time until I think junior fall, which like you have 2 full years to experience all the courses around the whole 5C campus. And this is a really great way for you to just experience different fields, learn about different ideas, talk with a lot of different professors and people on other campuses. And it is a pretty good time and time buffer for you to really make your decision on which major you want to go into and probably how to combine it. So something for me, well, I'm off-campus majoring at Harvey Mudd in computer science and mathematics. And this is a pretty interesting thing that we have here at the 5Cs because there's only 2 campuses who have the CS major. One of them is Pomona, the other one is Harvey Mudd. And I think Harvey Mudd have the tradition of having off-campus students coming to Harvey Mudd to major in CS. But also with the increasing demands and limited spots, there's a lottery system going on. So to be able to major at Harvey Mudd in CS, it's something about fortune and luck. So you need to go through 2 rounds of lottery for 2 different classes, CS5 and CS60. Those are 2 introductory courses. And after you get this, you can you're already after these 2 classes, you're already in the sophomore spring, and that at that point there will be you'll have multiple advisors from Harvey Mudd and advisor at Pitzer that helps you build your major declaration forms and help you design your major better. And yeah, one more thing for me is that I when I entered Pitzer College, I was thinking about doing a chemistry major because I love chemistry. I love pharmacy. But then I discovered neuroscience as a very interesting thing. And there's a subtrack of neuroscience as computational neuroscience. And so I actually took a lot of course in my first 2 years in neuroscience. But still, I can shift it back to shift it to CS math. Although there's a lot of course in that combined major, but it's handleable, and I do have the neuroscience experience really helped me for my future. I'm applying for graduate school right now, and that part of neuroscience courses on my syllabus, on my transcript, really helps a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for that input, Clay. That was super interesting to hear about kind of your background, how you got into computer science and neuroscience and all of that. And I'm curious now to kind of pose this question to all of you. Everyone seems so busy, so invested in their schoolwork. Kind of what is the balance between your academic and extracurricular and social life? Like, kind of what does that look like for all of you? If someone wants to kick us off.
I can start. I feel like the balance for me, at least, is I'm like a very extroverted person, and I find that I have very a little alone time. I live with four other people, and they're not all like that. And from what they've told me is like they are able to find that alone time. So it's kind of however much you want to put in is how much you're going to get back. So if you want to be really involved in the Pitzer community and be a part of four different clubs and be on the student senate, then you are obviously going to be very busy, but you don't have to do that. And I think it's the same with your friends. Like you could be hanging out with people all the time just because our college campus is small and we live next to each other. So it's kind of how much you put in is how much you're going to get out.
Yeah, thank you for that. I resonate with that for sure. Anyone else have any different input, different experience? Cool. Okay. If not, it sounds like everyone maybe kind of is juggling everything in a very time managed way. So that's awesome to hear. I'm curious to hear about now each of your involvements, maybe in your extracurriculars. Everyone kind of mentioned like involvement in student senate or involvement in their on-campus jobs. If anyone wants to talk a little bit more about that experience, maybe we can start with Ella, who's our student senate president. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. So the question is, how do I balance?
The question was just to talk a little bit about your experience with your extracurriculars.
Oh, fun. Okay, so basically, I would really agree with what Stella has said and the sentiment that she brought up. I have realized that I am not a part of any affinity groups on campus that meet, or I don't go to any meetings. And so I have realized through my time at Pitzer, a lot of my friends I have made through what I've been involved in. So the activities/meetings I have to go to oftentimes are with people I really thoroughly enjoy hanging out with. For example, we have some RA small staff every week. So we have to meet for an hour to talk through events, like what our hall is going through, and talking about how we can support each other and what resources we should be giving out to students. And the other RAs are lovely and I really love them. And so I think it's been a really positive feedback loop of like, the more I get involved, the more people I know. And when I'm involved, I have those people to interact with and build on. And then I'm less scared to get involved in new things because I feel less isolated. Like I feel like I have friends in different parts of campus. So I think putting yourself out there is really, I would really encourage it. I applied to be what Nick is currently serving as first year class rep my freshman year in the first 2 weeks, and I totally failed, did not get it. And you know what? I was okay. And I would just say, shoot your shot.
Yeah, thank you. That was very inspirational. Does anyone else want to share about their experience with on-campus jobs or extracurriculars?
Yeah,
Nick,
I can.
or Julian, yeah,
I'll
go
jump in.
ahead.
I will say, Pitzer, something great about Pitzer that I didn't really know about before coming into college. You get a lot of opportunity to work, like paid work. So if you're a workaholic, kind of like me, then you're going to find yourself busy with a lot of jobs. From my freshman year, I worked in, there's a lot of opportunities across campus as well. So I was a tutor at Harvey Mudd, like with an upward bound after school program. I worked as a Spanish tutor here with our Spanish program that kind of, we meet in small groups and we kind of help, we just speak in Spanish with the classes there's students from all 5 Cs that just take the course at Pitzer. Like I mentioned, I'm the lead shift coordinator for our student gym. So I originally was just a front desk worker and I was promoted to like essentially scheduling. So if you think of any regular like retail job or just any job in general where there are shifts, you got a manager who's scheduling them and dealing with when people can't make it to work and doing all that. That's what I do. And it's given me a lot of good just work experience that I'm like to think I can go ahead and take out of college into the real world. And then like Ella was mentioning with RA, that definitely was something that I wouldn't have ever like seen myself doing. But you get paid pretty good and you get a single. So I was applying and I got it luckily. And it's really fun. You meet great people. You get to interact with really cool people, not just the RAs, but your residents. And you get trained in a lot of like life skills such as conflict resolution, how to go ahead and like just being able to adapt and think on the spot for when, quite frankly, there might be a crisis on campus. It is our responsibility to do our job to at the very least control it. We may not have a solution, but report to our higher ups and do our job in that. Something else that I'm very involved in is I help coach strength and conditioning for the PP athletics. So I help with a variety of athletics at Pomona Pitzer. I don't know, we're going to touch on it later, but we are like shared in terms of our athletics. So if you play sports for either one of the teams, you're on the same team, whether you attend Pomona as a student or Pitzer as a student. And that's been a really cool way for me to go ahead and meet a lot of people, specifically from Pomona, because there's not too many athletes at Pitzer, but a majority of them are over there. But that's something that's given me a lot of just experience that for something I want to go into my career with. It's given me just something that goes on the resume that a lot of people my age don't have the opportunity to do at their institutions. So, kind of just emphasizing the fact that like these schools really do care about our development, not just as people, but in our career as well. And they like throwing you in the deep end and letting you getting your feet wet if that's really what you want.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Nick, do you want to add any input maybe about your experience being first year rep?
Yeah, I mean, I really like being first year rep. It's a really unique opportunity for me, I think, because at Pitzer, at least, our student government is amazing. It's not just glorified party planning. At least that's what student government was in my high school. It's like a real Senate. Like you get a nameplate, and there's all these procedures you have to follow, and there's a constitution, there's laws. We have a president. Our president has a gavel. It's like very cool. And it feels very real, and it feels like amazing preparation for me, especially. I want to be a politician. So, people can write up bills and amendments to the Constitution, and people come in, propose stuff. There's an open forum. And so that has been just such a cool experience that I get to, navigate being in the student senate with people from all across Pitzer, different lives, different experiences, while also trying to represent the freshman class. But I think another thing about college is, especially if you've had a really busy high school life. I know in high school, my schedule was just loaded with APs. College is a lot more time on your own. Like you get as much work, but less time in class and more doing the work on your own. So you get to manage that time differently. And like Ella said, right here, there's the pool right there. Like I can do my work out by the pool anytime I want. That's just the flexibility of college is amazing. And also just the opportunity, again, like there's a food place that's open till 11 p.m., right? There's just so many cool things you have the freedom to do that, I don't know, are very fun.
Yeah, thank you. And I think all of you kind of mentioned a little bit of some pre-professional experience you perhaps have had through your extracurriculars. So now I'm curious, and I'm sure so are the attendees, to hear a little bit more about some opportunities that you've had here at the Claremont colleges or through internships over the summer that have helped you kind of figure out what you want to do post-grad or in your future pathway. Ella can go ahead.
I can go. I didn't really touch on this when I mentioned the Senate work that I have been doing in my last answer, but the work that I do is paid. It is not paid by the hour. It is a stipend that is quite small, that increases as responsibility does. But that was where I did get a lot of resume building experience my freshman year. Is I actually, as I mentioned before, applied to be first year class rep, did not get it, and then was appointed student body treasurer. So I did a lot of the finances, and I actually did that in different positions, working with finances for 3 years. And so I had never been able to do that for my high school, or like even manage my own club's budget, let alone allocate for all Pitzer organizations, and also help run this budget committee where we allocate funding. And so I got a lot of work experience for honestly like memorizing the rules and enforcing them in the best way I could as a leader, while also hearing what the people are wanting and figuring out a way to meet their needs as well as possible. Because a lot of the times it is really rational and coherent, like what they're coming to you for. You just need to make sure it adheres to the budget bylaws that are given. And so I had a lot of professional experience doing that, which was really amazing. And so a lot of my leadership there has really transitioned into like what I want to do with my future, like looking at finance, and given me an opportunity to practice that and see if I actually enjoy that. I would also touch back on what Julian said with RA training. In general, Pitzer is really making sure that their student workers know what's happening, and that their student workers really are involved on campus and also are trying to better themselves throughout the process of working on campus. So the trainings that he mentioned earlier to better yourself, better conflict resolution, that is something that I think is really undersold, and has really helped me in my resume experience here at Pitzer.
Thank you, Ella. That was really comprehensive.
I was going to go ahead and add on. Oh, Clay, go for it. I'll go after you.
Okay, I want to add something on the academic side. First, there's a lot of great seminars going on and colloquiums going on over the all 5Cs, even including the other 2 grad schools, CGUs and KGIs. Well, there's a really great community of seminars that there are a lot of great speakers coming all around the world to bring great topics to share in different disciplines. I've been to CS, education, math, different field of math, and natural science, neuroscience, biology, physics. I've been to like lots of STEM seminars. That's mainly because I'm a STEM person, but there are definitely other seminars in other like humanity and social science studies. And this is a really great opportunity for students to like explore their interests and learn from experts and professionals in the field. And another thing is that I'm also a research assistant for a computational neuroscience professor at the Department of Natural Science, which really prepared me really well for my future dream as becoming a professor in the future. Where this research experience, it kind of sparked my research interest and prepared me really well in the research training, and also it helps me get an offer from a summer research internship. And I believe like this research here in Claremont make me a competitive candidate for the summer internships. And yeah, well, one more thing is that the teaching assistants and math tutoring is also a great part. Is that it fills me up with the teaching experience for me that I would say also stand out for my grad school applications, because there's a TA part in the grad school study. So yeah, I believe the Claremont colleges have a lot of opportunities, and also for being a research assistant, I would say it's a pretty good space for you. Claremont colleges is a great space for students who want to go into research, because the faculty students number, the ratio is really great. And also, there's a really broad range of professors who do different research. And also, you can also do research with KGI, with the graphical professors. I know students who are working with KGI professors and working with CGU professors. So this is also an interesting thing.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for sharing a little bit about some of your post-grad plans. I know Julian also wanted to share, and maybe some of the other seniors can also pitch in after and kind of share what they're planning to do post-grad as well. But yeah, Julian, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'll answer that question. I'll also answer the question before. And then I saw a question in the Q&A that was, I think, a really good question. I was thinking about going into college that somebody in the Q&A asked about alumni and connections and kind of how that worked. I'll start from the beginning question though. So kind of like I mentioned, I want to work in broadly termed sports performance. So working with athletes, it's not something that like, you might kind of connect with like a Pitzer student here. Like we don't have a kinesiology major or anything along those lines, but it was something that kind of came up my sophomore year. And I've been blessed to have opportunities to work with the Los Angeles Dodgers and the USC football. So I've had some pretty good experience, and I'll be honest, most of that came from connections from out of Pitzer. They were from my high school and people that I've like just grew up with or was able to meet like playing sports. However, I will say that Pitzer really helped me at least not even help me, but they teach me how to like make most out of those connections, how to take advantage of those connections and what to say and when to say them and what I could really get out of just having somebody's phone or somebody's contact in my phone number. It's a lot more than you might think. And that wouldn't have happened without the guidance from my advisor here. And then going into your question, Anya, for me, I'm looking for, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for some people, more school, a couple more years of grad school. I'm trying to get my master's in kinesiology and continue to work with college athletics, and that's the plan for now.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That was insightful for sure. Did anyone else want to pitch in before I move on?
Yeah, I can go really quickly. So I kind of had a different experience, I guess, maybe similar to Julian. Like I am going into investment banking and I wasn't on top of it as I should have been my freshman year. And I didn't feel like there was a ton of resources, especially in that field, just because there's not that many Pitzer students that go into investment banking. There is a Claremont, there is a 5C club, but I wasn't as involved in like the 5C club fair and didn't hear about it. So honestly, getting the job for me was quite difficult. And I think I had to put in more effort than someone would have if they went to a school where investment banking is a more popular career.
Cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, all of you. Definitely provide some insight into what Pitzer is like and maybe some of the preferred post-grad plans, or not preferred, but more popular post-grad plans versus less popular ones. Awesome. And I think kind of shifting away, I think we've entered a very like professional area of conversation, but kind of going back to maybe what the first year experience is like. I'm wondering if any of you could share kind of about what your kind of initial shock or surprises were when you came to Pitzer and came to Claremont, and kind of how you managed those or grew into them. If anyone wants to start with that.
I mean, I can start because I'm still a freshman or first year. I think Pitzer does a really good job of almost not making you create friendships, but really giving you simple opportunities to. There's the orientation trip, which, if you don't know, is you're going for like 3 days and 2 nights. Whether you're going beach camping, lake camping, you're going on the beach kayaking and then beach camping trip, or surfing and then beach camping trip, or you're staying at Pitzer and you're going to museums every day. You are getting to interact with a group of 10 other people and you're getting to know them really well. You're building bonds, and because of that, you're going to make some of your best friends from that orientation trip. Or even if you're not going to make your best friends from that, you're going to have solid friendships coming that or out of that orientation trip, just because you're interacting with such a small amount of people all day and you're getting to know them.
Yeah, totally. Our orientation adventure is a huge part of the freshman experience. Does anyone else want to add any insight they had or can think back of to their freshman year?
So my experience is a little bit different. I myself am a transfer student, so I did not have the traditional first year orientation experience in that regard. But fortunately, with the transfers, they did offer us an opportunity to go on an OA trip. But of course, it was just confined to the transfer, so we didn't get to meet all of the other students within our class year. But the nice thing about these trips is that it allowed us transfer students to get to know one another and have a set group of people that we could kind of confide in before we were to meet anyone from our class here. And I think the nice thing is that they combined us with the freshmen. And so I got to meet a lot of OA leaders who were in my year or grades above. And naturally, by talking to them, they would ask me about my own interests, and then they would link me to different opportunities or people or places to get connected to while I would proceed with my time at Pitzer. And so even if you're a transfer student, I feel that, again, Pitzer students, we're so loving. We want to help each other out. You will find someone who is connected to something that will get you to where you want to be. So you'll find your people.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a beautiful sentiment. And I also think that is true about Pitzer. Awesome. And kind of in the same breath, I'm curious to hear a little bit about kind of your experience with Pitzer within the LA area or the Inland Empire and kind of how that's felt like. Julian, I know you're from the LA area, so maybe you can provide some more insight as to how Pitzer fits in to the Southern California culture.
Yeah, I smirk because if I'm being honest, we're not in LA. And so I'm just gonna say that straight up. If you are from LA and you know where Pitzer is, you know it's not like we're closer than if you were going out of state or you weren't in California or San Diego, San Francisco, whatever it may be. But I'll be honest, you are close enough. You're close enough to be able to go out there for a weekend when you have the time, which it's hard, but sometimes you'll find the time. It will take up most of the day, if I'm being honest. Like whether you have a car on campus, whether somebody you know has a car on campus, whether you take the Metro link here, whether you Uber, we have things called zip cars that a lot of colleges have, which you can kind of like. It's essentially like renting service within colleges, but for a lot more affordable. So there's a lot of ways to get there, at least, but it is very time consuming. I will say though, as somebody who's from LA and came out here, there's honestly like it has its perks. It's nice to get out of the city. There's more nature out here than being in actually LA. And Claremont itself is actually it's really peaceful. So even it's grown on me as somebody who at first was really bored when I was out here.
Yeah, thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense given the public transit situation in Los Angeles. Cool. I'm wondering if kind of in the same breath also, if anyone wants to talk a little bit about like social responsibility praxis or community engagement done here at Pitzer, and kind of how that is working within the community and some of those projects. If any of you have experience with those and would like to start off.
Yeah, I can go. Oh, or Nick, if you want to.
Okay,
Okay.
first.
So actually I work with a Pitzer alum and her name is Eleanor, and we started together the community composting program, which works with local farms in the Inland Empire, and that's where all of our food waste goes. It used to be going like to Victorville, which is like 50 miles away. And so now it's all in the range of about a 7-mile radius. And the club that I'm the president of, we go and volunteer at these farms and have creative relationships with the individuals who come and work at the farms and also just the community members around the area. And I think that is like a core part of what Pitzer stands for as an institution, is that it's not just the values on our campus, but it's also how can we bring that to the community around us. I mean, Claremont is the nicest area in this surrounding community, and it's really important, I think, for Pitzer to recognize our positionality, just because the IE has environmental burdens and there's environmental justice issues, and as students we need to take responsibility for that as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Nick, did you want to add on?
Yeah, I will. I wanted to add on. I don't know if this falls under the official category, but to speak to student engagement, I think student engagement is definitely prevalent at Pitzer. It's one of our core values. College, you could just say it's a core value, not mean it, but I found that at Pitzer, it's definitely played out just because we're such a small school. You get to know people so well. You're living really close to most of your classmates. You're having small classes. So professors are really engaged. I'm hearing about my friends over at big colleges like at UCLA, 300-person lecture. Meanwhile, I have 12 other people in my class. So I'm really getting to know all my classmates and my professor. Furthermore, Pitzer offers really unique types of classes. For example, I'm taking a Spanish class this semester called Spanish 100 in the community. And what we do is once a week, we actually go to a local elementary school that's an immersion Spanish elementary school, and we just help out the teachers there. And it's getting good practice for us with, cute, energetic kids, and the teachers get some more help. And so I think that's an example of how Pitzer is not just your traditional education institution, how Pitzer provides opportunities for student engagement and really interactive learning.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I do agree with that sentiment as well. And I think talking about core values, you have student engagement for sure. And another big one is intercultural understanding. So maybe we can talk a little bit about some of your study abroad experiences or Clay, your experience as an international student. I personally did the Pitzer Nepal program and it was wonderful. But if anyone else wants to add on about some of their study abroad experiences, if any, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I can go. I studied abroad at the Stockholm School of Economics, and I had such a wonderful time, and I'm so happy that I was able to go abroad and that Pitzer allowed me to do that, especially with my credits. I was able to get some major classes out of the way. It was a very unique experience because I had to be learning Swedish and was pretty integrated into their system and their culture.
Cool, thank you. And then I also want Clay to kind of provide some insight if you study abroad or also kind of about the international student resources available here at Pitzer and kind of what that experience is like at the 5 Cs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to study abroad due to courseworks. But I'm already abroad over here in the U.S. So I would say it's fine. And yeah, a good thing that Pitzer have is that we have, as people already mentioned, there's a lot of affinity groups, and there's also a PISA, that's Pitzer International Student Association, that we have a lot of great events. We just have an international dinner yesterday, and it was really great. We have we play some Kahoot. We play some games about what some knowledge that international students here that would be really useful for us. And yeah, there's also some organize the international student office. Todd is really nice, and Marciana is also really nice. They organize a lot of interesting events that help students to go around and explore LA. And I would say it's a really nice place for international students to smoothly fit into the U.S. culture if you would like to fit into U.S. culture, but also if you would like to keep yourself pretty distinctive culturally. It is also a really great place that is very inclusive. So there's no shame to not there it's okay that you're not feeling that fitting in is important necessary thing. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think now I'm going to be asking my last question, and hopefully it'll be a fun one for you guys to answer. But I'm curious if what your guys' favorite spots or traditions are, whether that's like sitting at the Grove House or your favorite Pitzer tradition. Kind of divulge a little bit of those. We do have some fun around here, so maybe you can share about that. Give me a second to think on it.
As a senior, I will speak on behalf of us. We're about to endure a tradition that is very exciting. You only get to do once, which is the 100 days until graduation celebration, where you take a class photo and you reminisce about your time so far. And I feel like a lot of it is also setting intention of where we're going forward, and then also celebrating how far we've come. And it's kind of like we're not that close to graduation, but we can taste it. And so being able to celebrate that with admin, bond over bread, is a really special experience. So we're all gonna get to do that tomorrow, actually.
Yay! So excited for that. I'll be there. Anyone else have any favorite spots on campus or traditions they've experienced here at Pitzer? Okay.
Oh, I could go.
Okay.
There's one picture tradition I haven't yet participated in, but I'm really excited to participate in, just because I feel like it embodies Pitzer in the sense of enjoying each other's company, enjoying the environment. So there's this one Pitzer tradition where a lot of students go and they camp on a dry lake bed, and it's a really cool experience. Because you're getting to camp free from kind of the confines of society, get to spend time with your friends. And you get to see a lot of beautiful scenery. So I know I'm really excited for that. I know someone asked about going on trips. There's so many cool waterfalls and hikes around here, and there's a lot of organizations at Pitzer, 5 Claremont colleges that will fund you to go on these hikes. They'll lead you on hikes, And also just, going on side quests with your friends, definitely an accessible thing.
Yes, balancing club is what Nick is referring to. It's a very fun Pitzer tradition. During the full moon, students go to balance themselves on the El Mirage dry lake bed. So very fun. Okay, awesome. I think it's time to wrap up, but if any of the panelists have any last comments they want to share with our attendees, that would be lovely. But thank you all for being here and for listening. Yeah. Any last thoughts from the panelists for our prospective students? Cool.
Wait,
I'll
wait,
share.
I have one thing. If
Yeah.
you want, I can't type in the chat, but if you look at the answers to some of the questions, I put my email in there. I can't answer all these questions because the chat is glitching. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Totally. And you can also reach out to the admissions office as well.
Yeah, I think we also didn't really touch on this that much, but Pitzer is, like Anya said, really fun, and there are a lot of events that happen. And I was going to answer the question and say my favorite tradition is the Halloween party that Pitzer throws. It's really awesome to be a part of the consortium because you can have friends from all of the other schools, and we have a lot of fun here.
Yes, this is true. We do have a lot of fun here. All right, awesome. If no one else has any last thoughts, my last thought to leave with you all is that I love Pitzer. But of course, I'm biased because I go here. But yeah, thank you all for being here. It's been great. I hope most of your questions were answered, and if not, definitely email the admissions office, and we'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Or you can email Nick as well. But yeah, thank you all.